I would request now President Dr. Waleed Sheikh to welcome our honorable guests. I would request just one quick thing. If you can put your cell phones on meeting mode, that will be great. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm glad it's morning still. After living in the United States for about 28 years, it is half of my day is done by now. I leave my house at about 5 o'clock and I'm done seeing all my patients. It's the time to sit in the computer and do the work. Our day is just beginning, which is perfectly fine. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Mr. Hamid Harun. Thank you for coming. We'll keep calling you the original Sindhi family. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Thank you for coming. You're a new Sindhi since you're wearing ajrak. We consider you as a Sindhi. A brief introduction of Sindhi Association of North America. I'll keep claiming this unless somebody tells me I'm wrong. That Sindhi Association of North America is the only secular, democratic organization of Sindhis which has been in existence for the last 28 years. So don't let anybody tell you that Sindhis are not used to democracy, or for that matter, people from this part of the world are not used to democracy. We just need to be a little refined, need to see the world, and that's what we do. We have held elections every 2 years, and I'm proud to say at least two past presidents of this organization are here today. This is my third year as the president of the organization, and I finished my tenure in December of this year. Believe me, my wife and my kids are going to be extremely pleased. Why have a convention in Sindh? You call yourself Sindhi Association of North America. You're sitting in Karachi, inviting people who have nothing to do with Sindhi Association of North America. Ladies and gentlemen, the idea is to exchange ideas. Get to our roots, find out what's going on firsthand, and move forward. What is in this convention for us? I have repeatedly said it is simply a labor of love. And if the convention is successful, that'd be good. If the convention is not successful, the love wasn't enough. As somebody said, and I quote, "Life can be found only in the present moment. The past is gone. The future is not here yet. And if we do not go back to ourselves in the present moment, we cannot be in touch with life." We've got to find out what is going on at the present time. The idea of this convention was the 21st century. I know people are used to talking about what has happened in the past. I understand that. And there are a lot of things that we can talk about. We have come to a stage where we need to move forward. We've got to find a way to move forward and bring everybody along. Sindh is not going to progress. Pakistan is not going to progress until and unless we find a way to move forward. There are lots of hindrances. There are lots of problems. But nations have found a way to move forward. I have been so encouraged to talk to absolute intellectuals, people who know a whole lot. Democracy has been restored. I know somebody would say it's a sham democracy, but it's a lot better than the other form of government. Let us find a way to move forward. Let's have a dialogue on education. Let's have a dialogue on entrepreneurship. Let's have a dialogue on civil society. Let's have a dialogue on socio-political issues. And the theme is challenges and choices. What are the challenges and what are our choices? Ladies and gentlemen, that's what you're going to hear today. I hope it's useful. I hope we interact with each other. I hope you get to ask probing questions. I hope things are going to be clear. And my purpose and the purpose of Sindhi Association of North America is done. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
I would now request Mr. Hamid Haroon to give his keynote speech. Mr. Hamid Haroon.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a little beyond my normal looking at the world time, but the world seems to be fine today. Islamabad seems to have subsided for the moment into an inferior grade of chaos. And I see my senior friend, Jahangir Siddiqui, back in Karachi. So it must be a sign that things are becoming more normal in Pakistan. I think that I would first like to reiterate my democratic right and to gently chide Sana that whereas the Oakland Raiders were mentioned, my affinity with the Boston Red Sox was not even brought up. So I would like to place that in Pakistan and in Sindh, we have suitable sporting affiliations with our recognizable homeland groups in America. When you grow and live in an American city and go to university, you very often adopt the tradition, the sports traditions of that city, and Boston is a great example of that. Having said that, Boston was 35 years or 30 years and so long away. When I came back to Pakistan, I expected that I was in a process of change, and I expected that things would change. I expected that I would contribute to the change. I expected many others I saw before me would be always there. Banners of the Sindhi intellectual and artistic tradition. But unfortunately, life is not like that. The impermanence of things means that a residual strain of heritage, of intellect, of key political concepts that define the existence of a society. I know Dr. Walid Sheikh is very insistent about our link with democracy, but I'd hate to remind him that Sindhis always start off with Mohenjo-daro, and that would take us back to perhaps a mythical and not so clearly defined priest-king, and maybe that is the kind of society we're in today, rather than the kind of democracy, the vibrant democracy he speaks of. North American airs may help us revive a little, but Sindh is undeniably steeped in aristocracy and chaos at this point. I think that autocracy and chaos are not very fashionable historical trends to define the society one lives in, but when one sees that some of the greatest intellectual traditions in Sindh were formed and coalesced at the times of autocracy and chaos. One should understand that a cultural crossroads or a historical crossroads such as Sindh can tolerate more combustion than other societies possibly do. It may be due to our geopolitical location at the mouth of the Indus Delta. It may be that we are not entirely strangers to flood, in that the Sea of Tethys went 18 to 30 feet over Sindh all the way up to Sakhar before the continental drift. So flood, chaos, misery perhaps at a certain level, has been no stranger to our tradition, neither as autocracy. And I think that nothing has prevented in that period the historical accretion and growth of a strong identity, which may be under severe challenge today, but with people such as yourselves who've met the challenge of being up at 9:30 in the morning, I think that the intellectual tradition is perhaps not so weak as to have no standard bearers. So let me look at the topic which speaks of Sindh, challenges and choices. The first challenge, of course, with that kind of topic is to try and restrict yourself to what the topic says, and I will try and be brief. I always envy my friend, the U.S. Consul General's position in concluding remarks, since it's always easier to conclude than it is to initiate. But I'm afraid history and Sana cast the lot of concluding remarks to him. So he will bear some benefit in being able to dismiss most of my ideas, and I will have to try and initiate them at 9:30 in the morning for you. I think that one needs to simplify something as vast as that, because we have a limited time for communication, and I think the topic is rather overbearing in its title.